started diving deep into the draft in 2001. So over that time, you've had plenty of chances to sit back and see the lay of the land and really figure out your style as an evaluator in a sense. So over that time, you've basically been in the game for 20 years now. What would you say is your biggest philosophies or biggest beliefs as an evaluator?
Well, so based on the conversation I just had with you, this isn't going to surprise you. I think you have to be open-minded. And if you are not, I call it cleaning your filters. And all of us are guilty of this. You're going to be guilty of it. I'm going to be guilty of it. Daniel Jeremiah will. Bill Belichick will. Everybody's going to be guilty of bias of some sort. It's impossible to eliminate your bias. You have to be aware of your bias so that you can kind of check it. And that's in all of life. And so when it comes to not handicapping, but scouting, and it comes to draft evaluation, I think, something that I think is very important is when you're watching and you see a negative play, you have to be careful to make sure that filter's still wide open, that your lens is still clear, so that you don't start looking for all of the negative plays, or you don't start dismissing the positive plays. And a big problem can be if a guy had an injury that you didn't know about, and you're watching early in the tape, or maybe you're just watching the very first game and it's a game in week 7, and you're like, God, this guy sucks. I mean, what are people seeing him? And then all of a sudden, you watch another game, and now you're watching for the things that you're already biased against. You're looking for his negatives. You're looking for negative plays, and you tend to set aside the positive stuff you see. Well, if you didn't know he was hurt, and a lot of times that's not going to come out. If you didn't know he was dealing with a toe injury or an ankle injury that he was playing through, then your evaluation will run askew. And so that's why I think it's very important that your lens and your filters, you have to, every time you go to the next game, man, kind of wipe it clean again and see what the guy does in the next game or the next play or whatever the case may be. Don't be overly influenced by a single play or two plays. I think that's one of them. Here's another one. Don't scout with your ears. And I know that this was taught to me by Chris Ballard, and Chris was taught that by Jerry Angelo when he was at Chicago Bears. He said, don't scout with your ears, meaning, and this is a big problem that I'm sure you could think of. I'll ask you. Let me ask you this, Jordan. Now I'm going to turn the podcast around on you. So, who is a guy that you can think of that you say, man, I wish I would have had the conviction to stick with what I got too influenced by reading what other people said or hearing what other people said, and then I either pushed them up too far or I pushed them down too far, and I wasn't true to what I knew I saw on tape?